I had to start off with a smile. Happy Winning Wednesday. Happy Winning Wednesday. Hey, listen, you should feel like a winner today because you have been afforded another day to be great. So, hey, you're here with me. Thank you for tuning in. I'm talking about real estate again today, but on a different level. If you tuned in yesterday, gave you some different tips on different things. But today we're talking about, are you prepared for home ownership? Are you prepared for home ownership? What's Cap? Get fit with Lil Chris. Let me know. Tell me something. What's Cap? But so four things you can do to prepare for home ownership. That's what I'm talking about today. So it's all about your mindset, right? Everything is about your mindset. I know it's so cliche, mindset, right? But it really is. Because a lot of people think that homeownership is not attainable. So let me just say this first and foremost. If you don't know who I am, my name is Toria Howard. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. So what up, though, to all my Detroit people? I am a former educator and girls basketball coach for 15 years. And now I'm all things real estate, commercial, residential. I do financial literacy, credit repair, and also, business funding. But I'm talking about the four things you can do to prepare for home ownership. Four little steps, four little things. Because first and foremost, it starts with your mindset. So drop a one in the comments if you're watching this live. Drop a two if you're new to my live, and drop a three if you're watching a replay. And I really appreciate it. So what are those? Look, I'm gonna be like the preachers. I'm not gonna hold you long. I'm not gonna be before you long, but I'm going to be here to educate because that is my purpose. And I've always, been a big proponent of education. So, four things you can do to prepare for home ownership. So, the first thing, first and foremost, is change your mindset about home ownership. A lot of people think that home ownership is not attainable because of whatever factor it is that's going on that's blocking you from thinking that you are capable of owning a home, right? Maybe you never seen anybody own a home. Maybe, you just feel like you're not making enough money. Maybe, you like the renter lifestyle, whatever the case may be. But home ownership is an investment into yourself. It's an asset that can also pay dividends over time that will give you the things that you want. It's an asset that will grow in equity as the debt go down. Oh no, see, I'm here to change your mindset. You can obtain home ownership. You just got to change your mindset. So the thing is, what is blocking you? Get fit with little Chris. Are you a fitness trainer? It's the same thing. There's a lot of things that's blocking you from thinking that home ownership is attainable. But it is. But what are you willing to do in order to get prepared? So one thing you have to ask yourself is, why do you feel like home ownership is not attainable? Why do you feel like home ownership is not attainable? Have you tried? Have you looked into it? Have you done any research? What have you done that has said, hey, home ownership is not attainable? Well, that's great. You should be really into your finances too, and building wealth with your finances, including real estate. Get fit with little Chris. So that's the thing. Why do you feel like home ownership is not attainable? Because a lot of times people think that home ownership is not attainable because they feel like they're stuck in a certain situation or a certain place. You're only stuck because you choose to be stuck. So, how do you get unstuck? Well, you have to examine yourself, examine your finances, examine your spending. I had to do the same thing. I am a financial professional. You can consult with me. That's if you're open, but it's plenty of people out there to do it. But you have to realize what you're doing in your finances what's blocking you from thinking that home ownership is attainable? Because of the fact that, it could be your spending. I had a poor relationship with money. I can testify to that. I had a poor relationship with money. I was a spender because I received my financial, education from my mother and the things that she did. She was a spender, still is. And, every time I got money, I spent it. I did have savings and things like that, but I ended up going back into my savings. Um, I understand. You got to make sure that I'm not capped. Do your research. Google me. So, you know, you have to make sure, where did your money habits come from? First and foremost, let's examine that. Where did your money habits come from? My money habits came from watching my mother and how she spent, and I ended up taking on that. Now, my father was more of a frugal person. He knew how to play the game of the credit cards and different things like that, but he never taught it to me because he didn't have that education himself. Nobody cared enough to educate him, so he didn't know how to relay it to me. Now he is relaying it, and setting foundations for my daughter, in which I love. He has life insurance for her, he has savings for her. He didn't do anything like that for me, but I'm glad that he's doing it for my daughter. So I say that to say, you have to find out, where is the money block coming from? Where did you first learn about money? Most likely it's the people in your household. So you have to understand that a lot of your habits come from what you saw your parents or whoever, your grandparents or aunts, uncles, or whoever was around you. And then it also comes from, you know, what you heard about money. A lot of people have a bad relationship with money because of what they heard other people say, how bad they talk about rich people, money don't grow on trees, all these different negative connotations that go with money, right? Then you have to figure out, what is your relationship with money as an adult right now? So that's three things that you need to examine. Why do you feel like homeownership is not attainable? Because of your finances and how your relationship with money. So you have to ask yourself, where did you get your financial education from? You know, what did you hear growing up about money? And then what are your habits right now about money? Once you break those things down and see where it is, write it down and understand that, uh, yeah, something's gonna come up with that. Toria Howard, you know, that's my name. But Toria Burton Howard, if you want to get technical, but you have to understand that part of it. Remove those blocks, because it's money everywhere. It's people getting money doing all different types of things. So, what are you doing to get yourself out of the way of yourself? Thank you. That's Ryan. You know, thank you for vouching for me. So, you have to get yourself out of your own way. What is blocking you from the money, right? What is blocking you from obtaining money? What is blocking you from looking at what you already have? So that's why home ownership is not attainable, because you don't feel like you have the money in hand, right? So do you know the steps of getting prepared for home ownership? First and foremost, have you done your research? First and foremost, what do you have to do? You have to check your finances. Where is your money going? What are your expenses? You have to, add up your bills. Sit down and make yourself a budget and figure out where your bills are going. What are you spending from those expenses that you already know that you have to pay, like rent, car note, credit cards, whatever, to your spending habits. A lot of people spend a lot of money going out. One of my mentors told me, like, you can't step foot out of the door without spending $100. When you go into the club, when you go into, you know, going out with your friends, and all of that. I know I'm bougie, so I'm gonna spend money on my food and drink. So I'm gonna have like, I'm gonna spend like $75, $100 by myself. So you got to think about that. If you're doing that multiple days a week, and or you're doing it, or you're doing it once a week, you have to realize, look what that money is going. Frivolous spending, there's no return, right? I had to examine that. Going out to eat every single day, that adds up because shoot, you can't get a meal almost under $10 anymore. I mean, unless you just eat straight trash. If you're eating straight trash like dollar menu, so listen, I'm not knocking you, but if you're on a healthy tip, you're spending $20 for a meal. Off top, lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So think about how many times you spend, how many times you eat out every day, out in restaurants and things like that, and how much you're spending. Look at the things that we pay for as far as like subscriptions and stuff. I know I got a lot of subscriptions to stuff, and sometimes I even forget, and then I don't even cancel the stuff. I forget, whatever. Look at your subscriptions. You probably got apps on your phones you're paying for that you're not even looking at. Now you're trying to sell me something. So, what are you doing to, combat your spending habits, to get prepared? Do you know what your credit score is? A lot of people don't check their credit scores. They know that it's not good. But do you know that people scam on and steal identities of the people that don't check their credit scores enough? Those that have low credit scores, you know why? Because they know you don't check them. So all they're gonna do is take your name and your profile, especially if you have a clean record and background. They take your record and your profile and create another social security number off of your profile and rack up stuff. And then once they are done, they let your files merge. And guess what? That's where all this fraudulent stuff comes in. So even if you're not, even if you're not, looking at your credit score, somebody else is. Especially if you have a clean background, it's easy for them to create a new profile with your name and be able to go get cars and rack up things and do these type of things. So, you have to make sure that you're looking at your credit score. And it's not just about your credit score, it's about your credit profile. What is on your credit profile? If you are of a certain age, and I've talked to lenders, if you're at a certain age and you have a whole bunch of authorized users on your credit profile, you look like you're irresponsible with money and you don't know how to handle money. If you have these predatory lenders and these low end credit cards and these different things, finger huts and the different things, First Ramirez, I'm sorry, I'm pulling them out there, they're not paying me, but whatever. But if you have those type of credit cards on your profile, it look like you cannot handle money. And that's the thing. So you have to understand that you have to understand your profile, what you're looking at. Create a budget. Understand where your money is, when it's coming in and when it's going out. And then create a savings plan. You should never live off 100% of your income. I taught my daughter to do the 80-20 rule. I should have did 70-30, but I wanted to be a little lenient, but live off the 80-20 rule that, when you can get to a point where you can live off 70-30, then do that. Or if you want to just go cold turkey, do 70-30. So what that means is you live off 70% of your income, and then the other 30% you save, you invest, you give those 10%. So definitely hustles are everywhere. So those type of things, 80-20, you live off of 80% of your income, and then you save, you give, or you invest, or you give, or invest and save, however you want to do it. But you need to make sure that some of your money is making more money outside of your 401k and all of those other things. My friend James can attest to that. He's a big investor. Hi, James. So you have to make sure that you understanding how money works in order for you to be able to prepare for home ownership. Because that is one of the biggest assets you're going to buy. So you have to make sure that you understand how money works. How are you going to use your house as an asset? Because it can be, once the debt goes down, you build more equity. You can use that equity to go and invest and do more things with it. Same thing with life insurance. You have life insurance. I'm not a life insurance agent. agent. But I just know you have life insurance policies that you can use for a living benefit that can help you buy a house or invest or whatever the case may be. And it's still, accrue money, even though you took some money from it. It'll still help you accrue money, even and you had to pay it back, of course, but it's no taxes paid on it. So you have to think about, you have to understand and the functions of money and how it flows and how it works in your life. That's one of the things about your mindset that you have to understand is home ownership is attainable if you figure out your relationship you have with money first. Your relationship with money is the biggest thing, because if you can't see where your money is going, where how it's coming in, how you're spending, and reflect on that and have some self-awareness about it, then you're not ready for home ownership. So next thing, number two, so you change your mindset about home ownership and your finances. It was number one. So number two is, what does your credit profile say about you? Do you have negative items? What are negative items? Those things like repos, foreclosures, collections, charge offs, tax liens, judgments, all those different things, bankruptcies. Those are things that lenders look for, that they say, hey, especially if you owe the IRS. Bankruptcy, depending on how long it's been, you just have to show your paperwork. But if it's a fresh bankruptcy, you have to wait 2 years to buy a home. So if you have a judgment, can't do it. Evictions, definitely not, because that means you couldn't pay your rent. How you gonna pay your mortgage? You have any foreclosures? Definitely a no-no. Charge offs and collections, definitely a no-no. I know when I bought my home, I was at the closing table and they was going to snatch my house from me because I paid Chase off. And Chase came back and said I owed them money, but it was a zero balance on there. So even if you have a collection with a zero balance, if it still says collection on there, you cannot buy a house. I know, crazy. But that's what they're looking for. My house, I almost lost my house at the closing table because they said, oh, I was finished signing my paperwork. I was about to walk out the door. And they was like, oh no, we looked and you have a collection from Chase. It's a zero balance. I said, oh no. I paid Chase off. So they had to get on the phone. I was in there livid. But I had to keep my cool because I knew I had to, think. So back then, they had to fax stuff. So they had to fax over the paper like, oh no, she don't owe this. This was a mistake. So that's what I'm saying. Those negative items are a no-go. So you need to make sure that you contact your creditors. If you want to pay them off, you want to pay off collections, I don't advise that, but that's up to you. But if you're going to pay off collections, you need to make sure that you pay for deletion. And you have to get it in writing. Because some things might not, you don't have the patience to get off, and you might can be able to just pay it. But if you just pay the collection and don't ask them and don't have it in writing that they're going to delete it, it's still going to be on there with a zero balance. And it's still going to show up as negative, and you're not going to be able to get a home with that. So contact a credit repair specialist like myself or anybody that you feel like you trust to be able to help you navigate through that. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to pay it on, I just had I had a conference with somebody the other day. They said their friend paid off $12,000 in debt, but guess what? She didn't pay for deletion, and those collections are still on her credit report. So just understand that if you're going to pay the collections agencies, fine. You owe the debt, okay. But you have to put in writing that they have to delete it with no negative connotation, no negative marks. Because if you don't, then it's going to come up still negative. So if you don't have enough credit, you can have a 700 credit score, 750, 740 credit score, and you have 2 credit cards. That's not enough credit. You have to have a mix of credit, revolving and installment on your credit report. They like to see 4 to 6, credit profile, let's just say creditors on your account, at least 4 to 6. 4 to 6. Um, you gonna come on my live? Let me see. I know James not gonna come on my live. You coming on my live, James? Or that was a mistake? He was just he not on here no more. Oh, you on here? You coming on my live, James? You gonna join me? Hi, friend.
What's going on with you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
You gonna join into my conversation? What you got to add?
I just got on, so I'm just listening right now.
You listening?
You know, yeah, I'm listening. Absolutely, I'm always listening.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
All right, no problem.
How is it in Texas right now?
It's absolutely wonderful. The weather's doing great, and the money is green.
Hey, the money always got to be green, you know?
Yeah, money green, and the weather's great.
That's awesome.
I can't complain.
Now, listen, y'all, this is one of my good friends. We went to the University of Arkansas together. He trying to play it down, but he really a money guy. He a money guy. That's why I asked for his opinion. But it's all good, James. Who's ignoring me? I don't know. Oh, Scott is on here. Hi, Scott. How you doing, Scott? But yeah, so if you don't have enough credit, that's also a problem. So you need to make sure that you building your credit profile. May I help you? What do you need? What up, though, Scott? So if you need credit lines, you need to make sure that you're examining your credit score, what you need to add, because they're looking for those major banks, the Bank of Americas, the Wells Fargo, the Chase, the American Express, those different types of banks. You can go to the second tier, and they're looking for credit unions too. These are lenders that I've talked to. They're looking for those second tier, banks as well, credit unions. You got Navy Federal, Capital One, all of those. Those are good things to have on there too. What happened? So those are different, things that you can do. So, and then overuse of credit. If your utilization is high, that's a no-no too, because that adds to your debt to income ratio, and that shows that you don't know how to handle your money as well. So you have to make sure that you're paying your credit cards down, your bills down as low as possible. So in the 3 month span, because they're looking for 3 months out, they're looking for 3 months out for your credit, right? And your credit cards. So within those 3 months, you need to show that you have that down to between 7 to 6% of utilization. Now, I know it might seem hard, but those are the sacrifices. Think about where your money is going and flowing. So if you have some things that you can take away that you can put towards paying off that debt, then do that. You can do a snowball effect where you start with the one that's the highest balance, or highest interest, and then pay it on down. You pay more and then you pay it down, or you can start from the bottom up where you start with the lowest and work your way up. So it's just all depends on what works for you. But there are different type of ways that you can pay down that debt. Don't close any accounts. So make sure that you don't do that. You say cash is king. Nah, no, it's not. Cash is not king. But you know the thing is, you need to make sure that you paying that debt down. So don't have a lot of inquiries as well. That shows that you don't know, you're doing too much. So that you're only supposed to have 2 years of inquiries. I mean, 2 inquiries per 2 years. I know that seems like crazy, but it's ways you can get it off. So you just have to contact the right professional. Um, so the next thing, once you get your finances in order, once you figure out what you want to do as far as you know, oops, I turned my camera. Once you figure out what you want to do as far as your finances, you got that in order. Now you have to figure out what your needs are, right? A lot of people have a champagne budget. I mean, I should say a champagne taste on a beer budget. Start where you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to make sure that you Understand what your needs are. And you're not going to find the perfect house. Even if you build it from the ground up, there might be some problems. So you have to figure out what your needs are and start where you are. There's nothing wrong with that. Start with that smaller house, and then you use that smaller house to get the bigger one, in a few years. Use that equity. Everybody want to go from, where they are to like the mansion, unless you get an inheritance, you win the lottery, or something big financially happens. That usually doesn't happen. So you have to start where you are. Get the house that you can afford, okay, or increase your income, however you want to do it, and then be able to obtain the house that you want. But you have to know what your bedrooms and bathrooms are. What are the amenities that you're looking at? Schools. If you have children or you plan on having children, is this going to be your forever home? What are the things that you need? And then budget. What can you afford? You basically have to afford, you know, uh if you know you can, your rent is 800, but you know you can do 13, that's something, different. But if you know you're paying 15 and if 15 is your max, then that is your budget. Or you might want to go below that if that means that you're living beyond your means. You don't want to live beyond your means and be house poor, and then your house getting foreclosure and all that happens. So you have to know what your needs are. So that's the third thing. And then number four should have been number one to me, as they say. Are you truly ready to take on the responsibility of having a home? So that's the thing. Are you truly Scott? Scott probably not on here no more. But are you truly, ready to take on the responsibility of becoming a homeowner? It's still discipline and sacrifice. Scott, we having a Hog family reunion right now?
Yeah,
What you got to say, Scott? You got something to say on my topic? You got something to say on my topic?
yeah. I tell you, being that house porter, that's some real stuff right there.
You know about being a house poor, Scott?
Oh yeah, I tell you. Hey, if I told you what my mortgage was up here in Colorado, you'd be like, what?
Really? It's
Oh yeah,
expensive.
it's expensive up here.
Versus when you was living in Memphis.
Oh yeah. Oh, in Memphis, the Navy was paying for it, so
Oh.
you got to go from there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you don't want to be house poor.
No,
Definitely don't want to do that.
Hey, tell me about those inquiries again. How many you're only supposed to have?
Two.
Two in how long?
2 years.
Wow, that's tough.
That's tough.
That is tough.
It's real tough.
You get that new car that's sitting on that lot right there. You're like, hey, I know you got to pull my credit, but what about soft? What do you know about soft credits?
Well, soft pulls don't show up on your credit report. It's only the hard ones.
Okay.
So they do soft pulls, they don't show up. The only thing that show up when it's a soft pull is when you actually get the account. Then it actually will show up.
Okay.
But that's the only thing. But the inquiry won't show up if it's a soft pull. Hard pulls, especially if you go to the car dealership and they got to pull it a whole bunch of times. You know how people go in there and they have to, get all the different banks.
Yes, I know. I hate that. And then you get these letters in the mail saying, "Thank you very much." Nope.
Right.
Nope.
So you got to go to the car dealership, right? So they don't have to pull it one time, or go to your bank and already have your pre-approval. They ain't got to pull your credit no at all.
That's
so
true.
you would Navy Federal, so use Navy Federal.
Yep.
Use a credit union to get your car loan.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So they won't have to pull it so many times. And then get what you can afford. People go out there and don't get what they afford. And people be car poor too.
Yeah.
Paying all that interest.
They'll be living in
it. Living in your car. You don't want to live in your car.
Nope.
And you house poor and car poor, you just messed up because you're going to have repo and foreclosure next. So
it's okay. 7 years goes by
fast. Yeah. After you have to try to find you a tote the note place to go and get your car, and then you got to try to find you a private owner to rent. Yeah, yeah. 7 years go by real
Might be
fast.
hard. It might be a hard 7 years, but yeah, you'll be all right.
Well, yeah. And sometimes it don't even come off then. I've talked to people that have like evictions and repossessions on their credit past 10.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The credit reporting agencies get paid for the more debt that you have on your credit report,
Yeah.
the more money they get paid. So they like that. They gonna keep it. If you're not gonna say nothing about it,
No,
they gonna keep it on there.
no. And whiteout doesn't work either.
You said what?
Whiteout don't work.
I can't. I can't take it. Credit is number one. Tell them, James. You know, because you can't get nothing. Some jobs you can't even get without good credit.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You can't even get a cell phone.
right? Verizon, AT&T, all of them,
Yep,
no go.
yep.
Especially Verizon. Verizon is saying, no. Verizon is the
Exactly.
bougie. The bougie. I had Verizon for a long time, and yeah, I used to
Yeah.
hear people like, you have a Verizon phone? I'm like, yeah. Like they wouldn't approve me. They told me I had to pay $500. $500 down payment for Verizon? Lord Jesus.
Really?
Yeah, Verizon make you pay. Like if you don't have that the credit score they're looking for, they'll make you pay a hefty penny.
They do. They do. You're right.
So yeah, or flat out deny you.
But I wanted to come out here and say hi to you.
Hi Scott, thank you for coming. I appreciate your support.
Good talks.
Good talks.
My kids are even coming out here too. You know.
I saw that. Thank you, Scott's children.
Louisiana. Down in Louisiana.
Look at you, got a following.
Yeah, exactly. He probably wants money.
They're like, look, I support you, Dad.
Yeah. Probably wants money.
Don't they always?
Yeah.
Did
Exactly.
you always want money?
Oh yeah.
That's
They do.
yep.
All right.
See,
All right then.
see you later.
Talk to you soon.
All right, we got to get on our Zoom.
We do for sure. All right. Chat soon.
See you later. So, like I was saying, are you truly ready to take on responsibility? So, discipline and budgeting and sacrifice are the things that you have to do. Even when you get into, before you get into your home, you have to budget, you have to sacrifice, because you have to have there's expenses that come along with owning a home before you even get there. And then, even though they have the first time home buyer incentives, or the home ownership incentives. I don't want to say first time home buyer because you could always have had a home before. You still have to show that you have 3 months of your mortgage saved. They want to see that. They want to see that you have. They don't want to. You don't might not even have to use it, but they want to see that you know how to handle money and save that money. So they want to see 3 months of that mortgage. So if you know you could, afford $1,500 in a mortgage, then that means you have to have 3 months. What's 3 times 15? Somebody tell me. So what, $4,500? Is that it? So you have to have that much saved in your account in order to be able to even obtain the first time home buyer credits. But there have other programs out there. Well, but you want to have some money saved because you might want to go buy some furniture, some different things, and some other things come up. So expenses before home ownership, right? You had to pay for your inspection. You had to put down earnest money. What is earnest money? That is money that shows the seller that you are serious about buying the home. So sometimes it's like 1 to 3% of the sales price of the home. Standard, I would say standard here in Memphis is about $1,000. If you're in that 100,000, $200,000 range. So $1,000 you have to put up front to show that you are, serious about that home. Then you have to pay for inspections. The inspection is based off of square footage, and if they have to go through a crawl space, do basements, go on the roof, all those different things. So those that can range. And then, you probably may have to pay for closing costs. Your closing costs are 3 to 5%, I would say 3 to 6% of your loan. So that's your closing cost. So The difference between the earnest money is 1 to 3% of the sales price. Your closing costs is 3 to 6% of your loan. So you have to know these expenses before you even get into home ownership. And then expenses after home ownership, right? When you're talking about owning a home, it's an asset. So you have to take care of it. Those major things that need to be fixed, the roof, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and foundation, you have to know your costs. You need to know how much those things cost. A roof usually have to be replaced like 15 to 20 years now, or depending on the style of roof that you have. If you have one of those metal roofs or whatever, they last longer. But if you have shingles, 15 to 20 years, especially if you have a place where it rains a lot, like here in Memphis, or bad weather, you have to replace the roof. So you need to know how much that roof costs, and divide it by the years that it takes for it maybe to be replaced, and then you'll figure out how much you need to save. HVAC sometimes usually lasts about 15 years. Electrical, depending on what type of electrical that you're talking about, if you get your home updated with the latest electrical, you have smart, electricity and these different things, you last a little longer. But if you just going into a place, you might have to rewire your whole house. So that could cost about 5 to 10 grand. So plumbing issues, like my friend can attest to the plumbing issues. The plumbers to come out cost a pretty penny. Like just for that. But plumbing can cost, as much as a roof, depending on if they have to go underneath the ground, if they have to change out piping, all these different types of things. And then foundation. Oh, something happens to your foundation. That's a big expense, excuse me, a big expense as well. So you need to know how much these things cost, how long it takes for you to get to that point, and divide that and save that every month. That's your backup plan, your expense for after home ownership is obtained. So I hope I shed some light on that. And get out of your own way. Home ownership is attainable. You just have to be disciplined. You just have to be disciplined in your finances just for a little while. And then once you get in your home, do what you want to do. I don't say that you go wild out, but that don't go back to your old spending habits. But make sure you're welcome, Jamal. Make sure that you understand that you got to get out your own way first. It's a mindset. You have to have a winning mindset. What are your money blocks? Where did you learn? You break down that part first. Where did you learn about money? What did you hear about money, and what are your thoughts about money right now? What is your relationship with money right now? You have a relationship with money. We just figured like, oh, it's just some paper or whatever. No, you have a relationship with it. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about it when you don't have it? How do you feel about it when you get it? How do you feel when you have to pay something that's unexpected? Sure, Jamal. You can pay for my services. Definitely. You can reach out to me. My digital card is linked to this live on my Facebook. So you can go there, you can book a consultation with me, or you can send me a PM or DM or whatever, and we can discuss that. Whatever I do a lot of things. I'm in real estate. I do credit. Financial literacy. Whatever it is that you need, I got you. So, but you need to make sure that you understand first and foremost, it's a mindset thing when it comes to home ownership. Like I said, what are the three things? It's like class, because I used to be a teacher. It's like class. What are the three things that you have to figure out about your relationship with money? Right? Number one, what did you learn about money growing up? Number two, what did you hear about money? And what is your relationship with money now? Those are the three things you have to figure out to understand that home ownership is attainable. And why is it blocking you from it being attainable? Check your finances, because I told you before, people that have low credit scores tend to not check their accounts, and those people tend to prey on you and create new profiles because they know you're not checking it. They create new profiles, new social security numbers off of your profile, and that's where the fraud comes in. My friend had a whole house in like New York. She has never even been there. Upstate New York. So you have to make sure that you're looking. What is your budgeting plan? What are your savings plans? What does your credit profile look like? Do you have negative items on your credit profile? Do you have enough credit? Are you overusing it? How do you pay down your debt? All of these different things. What are your needs when you're talking about buying a home? What is your bedroom, bathroom count? What amenities do you need? What do you want to be close to? What is your budget? What can you afford? And then knowing the different responsibilities that come into it and being able to handle that responsibility of owning a home. Being disciplined and sacrificing at the beginning, because you have to have 3 months of savings, even if you're getting the first time home buyer or any type of home buyer incentive. Knowing expenses before your home ownership, which is earnest money, which is 1 to 3% of the sales price. Oh yeah, I forgot about appraisal, inspection, and then your closing cost is 3 to 6% of the loan amount. So all of those things, and then if you're gonna pay movers, that's another expense. So you have to have this money saved. And then expenses after home ownership, how much it's going to cost for you to maintain this home? How much is your roof going to cost? Electrical is going to cost. Plumbing, HVAC, foundation issues. Knowing what the difference between a home warranty and a home owner's policy is. There are two different things. The homeowner's policy protects the dwelling, but it doesn't protect the HVAC, the refrigerator, the wash machine, any type of appliance or any type of plumbing. Now, the homeowners, well, they'll come in and fix the drywall, but they're not gonna fix the plumbing. So understand that. Know the difference between that. Yes, it's a huge responsibility, but it's an asset that keeps on giving. Because the more you pay down your debt, the more it grows in worth. And the more that you can borrow off of it and go buy more real estate, or you can go invest in something else. The same thing with a life insurance policy. Same thing. You need to be owning those two assets. So, I've been talking for a long time, like 40 minutes. And I'm a talker. I used to teach. I used to have to teach for 50 minutes at a time. So it's nothing for me to talk. So I hope this was helpful. Drop some, flames in the comments if this was helpful for you. And, share it with somebody else. And if you need any of my services, I'm a realtor here in Memphis, Tennessee. I would love to create your home ownership plan. And even if you are wherever you are in the world, or United States, I can help you create your home ownership plan because it's usually, I shouldn't say the world, United States. I know that I have some international connections, but you need to make sure that you tap in. Thank you, Jamal. So make sure that you tap in with me. If you need your credit repaired, thank you, James. If you need your credit repaired, I got you. If you need to learn what you need to do to build your credit, I got you. So just tap in. My link is attached to my Instagram, bio. My link is on this Facebook live. You can always, DM me or PM me. And then on my YouTube, my link is in the comments. So in the chat, in the description section. So I bid you adieu. And I appreciate all of your support. And go back and watch it and let me know if this was some good jewels, some good gems for you, because you have to get out of your own way. Home ownership is attainable. Just get out of your own way. So I'll see you tomorrow teaching something else. Y'all have a good night.